Hey everybody, welcome back to Hook, the Kayak Anglers Resource. We're going to jump into a quick hitting episode because we have some exciting news that we can't wait to share with everybody. Let's get right into it.
Travis, you got some big news for us, don't you?
So yeah, Eco Fishing Shop. We try to have all the brands that we can have, and we thought this was a great place to announce that we will be bringing in the Crescent lineup, and we want to do that with Drew
Nice.
because
There
Drew
we
is a
go. Where's
Crescent
that?
guy.
Like a point.
Now, to be clear, we're going to bring in the Shoalie, the
Yeah.
CK2, and
Yep.
the K Craft. Those are the three, the micro skipped. Those are the three we're
Perfect.
bringing in. How's that look on the lineup, Drew? And what do you think?
Perfect. I mean, those are three incredible boats. And especially with what you guys do, you kind of really informed in the fishing world. And those boats there are great to, great platforms. Like look at the CK2, can rig that up into whatever fishing machine you want it to be. And that one will even go a little bit faster with a Newport or a Torpedo, than the Shoalie. I think Jeff Little got it up to 6.8. So I think if you did a few more adjustments and trimming, you probably get it to 7. But great for electronics, but great lake boat. You could put a second seat in it, so you could have, your a friend go with you, a child, a wife, whatever. And then also the K Craft. I mean, look at that thing. You can. That's another thing. Speaking of the wife, and she could get a strip down one of those in a cool seafoam color and just go out there and paddleboard with it. But then you could also turn it into a mini skiff with a little, you know, tiller handle on the back, little motor, and you could obviously put whatever you want on it. But that's what we showed off on our promo video about that. And rig it up to just a fishing machine, little skiff. It's like 60 pounds. The thing doesn't weigh much at all. It's back into the spirit of lightweight, kayak fishing stuff that why I got into the sport. Cool boat for sure. And then the Shoalie, obviously, I mean, good grief. I've won now so many events out of that boat and just done so many cool things with it and what it can do in the river and the lake. I mean, you put that Torpedo on there, like I said, you're getting 6.7 on the lake too. So it's a kind of a do it all. And you take the stern mounted motor off and it lightens it back up and you could just paddle it down the river. So what's not to love about those three boats, and obviously the Shoalie too, having all the ways to lay your rods and things down tucked away where they're not sticking up, getting tangled in limbs or dock cables or dock walkways if you are on the lake. Which shout out to Jake Heppner, one of your pros, from Eco and a good friend of mine who's helping me on that kayak adventure series. He fishes out of a Shoalie with a Newport, and he goes and kind of fished in a kind of a Drew style on the lake and did really good. I think he was like 20 something in the tournament out of 164 of the best anglers. Again, utilizing the way that Shoalie's made to keep the rods and everything laid down, and went underneath a lot of, I know, dock cables and walkways and getting casts that boats couldn't make, and other kayak anglers with their setups weren't always able to make. So it still works on the lakes too. You just got to find the little niche and area where they can excel. But Crescent, man, we're just passionate about, getting people out there making good paddling boats and obviously good motoring boats too. But we're just passionate for the sport and hashtag living the current because that's what we're all about.
Well, you're a great representative of the brand and the sport, my friend. I'm excited about the Shoalie. I think it is absolutely picture perfect for our rivers in this area.
Oh yeah.
I'm a Jackson Bite fan. I like that as well.
Yep.
But you're talking both are kayaks made to get into skinny water, and
Yep.
I think that's a big deal for us locally, but regionally, I think Crescent's really on the move. Glad to be partnered up with them, and glad that you're part of it because the more that we lean into the industry, the more we bump into Drew Gregory.
Well, I look forward to bumping into you guys more, man. You've been great. Both you guys. I mean, I've just really loved every moment I've spent with you, how passionate you guys are for it, how excited you guys all were for me. Jonathan, man, you get to know a lot about someone when you stay with them for several days. So, how kind this guy is. He's taking care of everybody. Just anything we needed, any moment. He's like, here, you need some, Ned rigs or anything? Sure. And I was scrambling, looking for finesse stuff, and everyone was willing to offer. All the guys in the house were just like, here, take this, whatever. So very, very generous and kind. And I'm sure that obviously comes out with the whole eco fishing shop brand as well. So
Yeah, for sure. Hey, jumping back into the Crescent lineup real quick. The K Craft is that lighter throw and go kind of boat. What would you say the biggest difference in the Shoalie and the CK2 as far as, if someone's looking to get one of those, what would make their decision easier between those two boats? The CK2 definitely seems like
Mhm.
a bigger lake boat, maybe a tandem boat. But what's the advantages between those two?
Yeah, that's kind of it, really. It's like, do you need to get more weight on your boat? Are you putting a lot of? I mean, Shoalie's got a high weight capacity too, but are you, really needing just a ton of open space around you just for more grass and more batteries, more weight, possibly that second person, when the time comes. So that's kind of it. You get a little bit more speed out of it in terms of, if you're using a motor, if a point 2 or 3 miles an hour difference, matters, then and it can. So that's another reason to possibly get it. So yeah, that's basically it. I mean, the whole design is really really great for, that flat water. It's works in a river, but being longer, that makes it a little bit less maneuverable. Less, there's a lot of obstacles and things you got to zig and zag around. So if you're looking to do rivers and lakes, the Shoalie might be a little bit better because you definitely want to make sure you have something that can handle the river, especially the rivers that have a lot of like laydowns and currents and stuff. But because again, the Shoalie can handle the lake really well, especially once you put the motor on, especially. But yeah, I would just say that's the main difference right there.
We talk about that all the time. We get when we've talked about when a customer walks in the door, if they're new, the first thing we ask them is, "What are you fishing? What body of water? Are you a lake guy? Are you a pond hopper? Are you a river guy?" That's kind of the beauty of the Shoalie. Is I think you can buy one kayak and do everything with it. I've got an
Yeah.
AP 120. Jonathan has a PA 14. Not a lot of river work happening with
We're
those
definitely
boats.
not taking those to the
Right.
river.
There's
No.
not. No.
So and our rivers specifically, that's the thing is there are places that those are great in the river,
Yeah.
I'm sure, but probably never gets less than 18 inches deep. With us,
Hmm.
I ain't hauling that thing around. So I think the Shoalie
Right.
is one of those boats that you can turn it into whatever you want because it's just a great platform.
So I've been fishing out of the Crescent Shoalie for the last, I guess, 2 seasons. Like this will be like I've had it since right when it launched, so however long that's been. Um, it's a great boat. It handled the chop, and I say handled. It was it's not designed to go on like big lake chop. It's more of like a river kayak that can do lakes. I like it because it's just very nimble. I fish pretty aggressive. If anyone that fishes with me might notice that I constantly just have rods laying flat, like I don't like them behind me, and the Shoalie does a really good job of doing that. It's also a really fast boat if you've got the right motor for it. Like I can usually squeak 5.5 miles per hour out of the Newport one NK 180. So if I had like, the 300 or the Torpedo 1103, I could probably hit, 6.5, something like that. So um, I ran an Excite 3 in this tournament though, because in my mind, I was really convinced that if I was going to fish Main Lake, I was going to need something to keep me in position because um, I know how Oklahoma fishes. It fishes very similar to Illinois, and Illinois in March is windy because it's just flat. There's nothing to stop the wind. It's just, relentless. And I knew that I probably would want to stay in position, and that's a little tougher to do without spot lock. It was definitely an adjustment though, that's for sure. I often wonder if I spent more time messing with the motor during the tournament than I did fishing sometimes. So
Well, I know this not doesn't help you much, Lance, but we are, excited to bring on Crescent this year. We're going to carry 3 of their kayaks, the Shoalie, which you and Drew fish out of, the CK2 Adventure, and the K Craft Light. Jake, we've already been talking about the CK2 and possibly getting into that. What are you thinking?
I think it's an awesome kayak. Honestly, it's very similar to the PWR in the sense that it's designed like with a motor focused, like it's a faster kayak. Like it's got the motor mount on the back. It doesn't quite have the same, you know, features like the PWR, but it's designed as like this open platform single person fishing kayak that can convert to a tandem if you want to take the kids out or something like that, which I think is kind of crazy, but tons of deck space. I think Jeff Little said that with a Torpedo 1103 he gets 6.8 miles per hour out of it, so It's a very fast kayak because it is 13 feet long. And honestly, like I think that it's going to be a great platform for someone who wants like, that paddling ability that Crescent's known for, but at the same time, tons of fishing options, tons of ways to rig it. So I'm pretty excited to play around with it. I've already been planning out the build for it, and I think it'll handle some of these bigger lakes a little bit better.
Yeah, we're excited to get them into and try them out. You and Drew have raved about the Shoalie, and I think that would be a really good, river rig with a motor on the back of it. Definitely, probably not quite as good with the motor guide on front, but you made it work. But it definitely be interesting to see that CK2 and how you get it rigged up and all that. Um, have you seen the K Craft, the light at all?
I checked it out at the Classic. It's a really cool boat. I think it'll be wildly popular here in the Ozarks because it blends that line of like paddleboard and kayak. So if you want something that like pretty much anyone can hop on in the summer and go down a river float and still be something that you could fish out of reliably, I think that'll be a really popular option personally. Like I'd love to have one of those as well, but I mean you can't have 50 kayaks unfortunately.